Hello?
Dude, where are you? It's time for your podcast.
Crap! Hi, I'm Simon Clark, and welcome to the Art of Creativity podcast, where we'll sit down with some of Omaha's most influential artists, musicians, writers, and creatives to explore their process for making art. Alright, welcome back to the Art of Creativity. I'm your host, Simon Clark, and with me today is...
Spencer Link, otherwise known as Zenprex.
So Spencer, you are a musical artist, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
That's right, and I've known Spencer for a long time. We went to high school together. Did we go to middle school together?
We did not.
We did not, but we definitely went to high school together. We did, that's a fact. Mm-hmm. And I remember that you were always in like show choir and all that. Mm-hmm. So let's kind of, before we get into the process of how you make your music, let's kind of get into the way that you got into music in the first place. You know, how was it? Was it that show choir? How old were you? Or where did your love for music creation start?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've always kind of been into music. Like I've always did like choir and stuff in like elementary and grade school and everything.
Right.
Really only got into like electronic music, what I kind of do now, kind of early high school-ish.
Yeah, I remember on like these show choir competitions, you'd be back there making up a beat and you'd play it for the whole group and everyone loved it.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, I'd bring like my DJ equipment and stuff to like show choir shows.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that started, was choir and everything, right?
Kind of.
Or did you grow up with an emphasis on music or what?
Yeah, so like my family's pretty musical. My dad's always been in bands. We always had a piano around the house.
Oh, I was in a band with your dad.
Yes,
I totally forgot about that.
Yes,
it was a Frank Sinatra cover band, and your dad is just the best piano player I've ever met.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's great. And you play piano.
I took piano lessons for a while. My teacher was kind of crazy. So
was it your dad?
No.
Oh, man.
So that kind of killed it for me, and then I played clarinet in middle school. Yeah, and then I mostly just drifted towards singing and doing choir, but then, I think it was...
Did you drop the clarinet?
Yes.
Oh,
as soon as I was done with middle school.
Interesting little tidbit for you. The last person we had on the podcast who also makes electronic music played clarinet in middle school too, and then dropped it. Is it a trend here?
I guess so.
Yeah, I guess
we might have to look at the statistics on that.
Yeah, that's funny. So that's high school era is pretty much when you made that leap to digital music. And what did you start out on? What's your DAW? What program were you using?
So I started off mostly just playing around in GarageBand, and because we just had the MacBooks at school, so I would start playing around in there. It was all terrible, pretty much. Like the first 10 songs or so I made, because I would like work on them for like a day and be like, yeah, I finished it.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, no.
Yeah. When was there like a specific moment where you decided, maybe in high school, like, I want to keep pursuing this is what I want to do? I know you went to Metro for audio, right? Or is that right?
So I went to Metro mostly just for like gen ed stuff, just to kind of get some classes out of the way before jumping into quote unquote real college.
Right. You got to go to fake college first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't really think of like a specific kind of defining moment.
Is there like where did you get the inspiration or the push to pursue this? You know, what it was the stuff you were listening to? What are some of the artists you were listening to? Or
yeah, so it was mostly just some of the artists that I was listening to. Because I mostly got into electronic music through dubstep, as many people do.
Right. So just kind of listening to that and wanting to emulate that.
Listening to that, watching a bunch of like tour videos and stuff with Skrillex. He was like always a big inspiration for me, just creativity wise, if not like musically.
Right.
But yeah, like just as a creative person, I always kind of like admired Skrillex.
Right.
What he does.
Have you ever met him?
I have not, no. But I have seen him twice in concert.
Really? Where was that?
So there was the one here in Omaha at the CenturyLink Center, and then there was one in Lincoln that was like a little outdoor area.
Nice. So along with Skrillex, who are some of these kind of, like some of the artists you draw inspiration from or look up to or kind of push you to create? You know, are they producers? Are they solo artists? Who?
Yeah, so mostly producers and DJs are kind of like my main thing. I'd say a big one kind of musically for like the kind of softer electronic stuff that I've done is Jamie XX. His album In Color is one of my favorite albums ever. He's the drummer / producer for the XX. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're like a British kind of indie pop band. Yeah, so he's the drummer / producer. Nice. He does some solo stuff.
Right.
Flume, everything he does is hugely inspirational. Because he just makes the craziest, weirdest stuff. Right. It makes it work.
So that was kind of how you got into it. When did you start like your kind of branding? I know you have a SoundCloud, you have a few EPs out, you got the name, right? When did you launch all of that?
So I had the name first. I've had that as just kind of like a general.
And what is the meaning behind the name?
So Xenprecs, XENPRECS.
Right.
It's my name scrambled with an X at the beginning.
Whoa! I thought so.
Yep. So that is actually a reference to Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Because like there's this group where all their names are like their original names, anagrammed with an X put in somewhere.
Really?
So all my Kingdom Hearts fans, that one's for you.
Nice. Yeah, I never knew that. That's interesting. And you use Logic, right?
Yes. So now I upgraded to Logic.
Why Logic?
Because it's GarageBand but better.
Wow.
So I could just because the funny thing is that they kind of would take features out of GarageBand and make it just in Logic. Right. So I kind of had to go to Logic to keep doing the stuff that I wanted to do.
Let's take a second to sample some of Xenprecs' music right now. Come with me. Come with me. Come with me. That was With Me by Xenprecs. I used that song in a video a few weeks ago, and it's just great. The blends at the kind of drop at the end, it's crazy, you know. So that's sort of With Me. That's a sample, right? So you use a lot of sampling in your music, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So where do you get those samples? Where do you find them?
So I mostly use a service called Splice. So what that is, typically with like samples, before you would kind of go and just buy an entire sample pack.
Right. So is this just like a membership thing?
Yeah. So I pay just like, I think it's like $8 a month, and I get so many downloads per month of just like this massive library of samples. Okay. So they have everything from drums, just from like one little like one-off hits. They have loops. They have vocal samples. They have pretty much everything that you would need to just kind of fill in the gaps.
Nice
for producing.
Nice. So that song With Me, was that on your latest EP or is that a solo?
So that's a solo.
But you did just have an EP come out a few months ago. What's that called? What's that about? How many songs are on it?
So that one is called Flight. Flight EP. That one is.
And was that your first EP?
So I had one before then. It was just a little 3-track one that I just posted on SoundCloud.
Right.
It wasn't kind of commercially released anywhere or anything. But yeah, Flight is kind of my first kind of bigger body of work.
And that's on iTunes?
Yeah, that's on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere music is streamed.
Yeah. And what service did you use to get that? Did you use CD Baby?
Yeah, so I used CD Baby. I recently switched over to DistroKid.
Oh, you didn't like CD Baby?
So CD Baby's great, but DistroKid is a whole lot cheaper.
Really?
You just pay $20 a year and you get unlimited uploads.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Instead of paying per upload.
I need that. I still use CD Baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
CD Baby gives you a little bit more like analytics and stuff like right on that page, and you can mess with it a little bit more. Because like there is like a free, not free. There are different tiers for DistroKid, and so you can like set release dates and do extra stuff.
Oh, that's nice. So what was the process of making this EP, and where does what's it called?
Flight,
and where does that name come from?
So it just comes from kind of the overall feel of the different songs on the album. Not album, EP. That just kind of more came from a place of me wanting to branch off and do some more kind of like softer electronic music, kind of take a break.
And that's different from what you normally do?
Yeah, so I kind of do kind of more clubby EDM type stuff. I'm kind of falling back in love with dubstep. I kind of fall in and out of
judging by by With Me.
Yeah, With Me, and then the newest song I'm working on right now, that one's definitely kind of more of a dubstep banger. But I wanted to make something a little bit kind of softer, more. I want to try writing more melodies, which I'd never really done before. Especially because like I don't really know music theory all that well.
You don't need to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a discussion we had on the last episode too, and I'll ask you that question as well. But so you don't think that you need, especially for this side of the music industry, you don't need a formal background in music. You know, you don't need to know a ton of music theory. Because I was talking about this with Dewey on the last episode. I think this side of music is a great way to get into music without knowing music. You know, if that makes sense.
That's exactly.
Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that, because like I've always been music, like I know musicality and stuff like that. But like even when I was like playing clarinet and stuff, I barely learned how to read music.
Yeah.
I just kind of sight read the whole time.
Right.
Same with choir even.
Yeah.
It's like I couldn't look at a note on a page and tell you what note that was.
But that just sort of shows you how the industry is evolving and shifting these days.
Yeah.
You know, anyone can get their laptop and download a software and make an album, you know, and I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's kind of get into your process for making one of these songs. You have one pulled up here?
Yeah.
Walk me through it, start to finish. What does Spencer do to make a song?
So, a lot of times I'll start off either just by kind of playing around with a synth until I find kind of a sound or a melody that I want to work with, or I'll find just like one little sample to kind of start working off of.
Right, so you'll find a sample and just kind of get ideas from that sample?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of go through my list, listen through, like, find maybe like a little synth melody or a vocal line or something, and just start kind of piecing together everything from there.
Right.
Yeah, so like with this one, I started off with just a little synth. And,
so you're kind of starting out with the melody.
Yeah, I started off with a little melody, a little kind of synth arpeggiator.
Let's take a listen to that song.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so just kind of having it gradually build, arpeggiate, kind of bounce back and forth. And a little pan sound under there.
So then you add the drums, or what's next?
Yeah, then I typically start adding the drums to kind of get the feel for kind of how everything's gonna go forward. It's EDM, so everything kind of builds towards the drop.
Right.
Yeah, and there's that weird, like, moaning sound.
Yeah, is that a sample?
Yeah, so that's a sample from, I think it was one of Getter's sound packs.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
Really adds a lot of kind of, like, atmosphere to this track.
So you start with the melody, and you kind of build that melody around a sample, right? So that's kind of where you guys will give or take, you know, depending on the song. So that's kind of where you get the inspiration. Then you'll get the drums, right?
Yeah, and then I'll start adding in drums.
So you're just kind of building these layers up until a drop.
Yes,
towards the end.
exactly.
Okay.
So drop typically, it's not really towards the end. It's typically
you come back from the drop.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Then you drop again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can definitely play around with song structure a lot, but kind of the typical EDM structure is, you know, intro / build up, drop, some sort of bridge area, another build up, another drop, and maybe an outro. That's kind of very typical EDM song structure, but you can kind of play with that as much as you want, which is also the fun part.
So are you mixing this as you build, or do you build it all first and then do an overall mix, or how does that work?
I do some mixing kind of as I go along. Like if something sounds wrong, I'm going to go in and fix it real quick.
Just rough it in?
Yeah, just kind of tweak that. I do some, and then I do some kind of like mixing right at the end, and just go through, add on compressors, change volume levels.
And how long do you typically spend on the mix? Or building it in general?
It really, really depends. Some track, like the first track on my a couple of tracks on my EP, and also like With Me, those ones I finished with, I like wrote the entire thing, not like mixing anything, but just wrote the entire thing within like a day or two.
Really?
Just because everything just kind of like flowed and kept going, and because the way I kind of write is I just kind of listen back through what I've already done, and my brain just goes, okay, then this comes next, and this comes next, which sometimes that happens. Sometimes it takes. Sometimes it takes 6 months.
Sometimes you need to dig deep for that inspiration.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So with these samples and maybe just the track in general, how much are you changing these sounds, or how much are you manipulating them, and how can you manipulate them?
So it really depends. Some stuff I leave kind of alone, like that little atmosphere sound. I mostly just put like a little filter on it to
maybe some reverb,
a little bit of reverb stuff like that. For stuff like say I'm taking a bass sample for the drop or something, I'll really kind of break that down and mess with it.
Pull out the low ends.
Yeah, pull out the low ends, add on distortion, add on phasers, flangers to kind of morph the sound and make it kind of go all over the place.
And how'd you learn how to do all this?
So I'm pretty much all just kind of self-taught with GarageBand and Logic. Like I'll look up tutorials if I'm like, okay, there's this one thing I need to figure out how to do. How do I do that real quick?
I've noticed all these most of these Apple softwares, right? It's an Apple software.
Yes.
And so Final Cut Pro is that too. They're all really, really, really user friendly.
Yeah, exactly. You can just kind of play around with it until you get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I like Logic so much, because like I've used Fruity Loops a little bit before.
Yeah, I grew up on Pro Tools, and they do not hold your hand at all.
They do not. Yeah.
No.
Pro Tools, it says Pro in the name.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, it's Logic Pro. Too,
yeah, but it's Pro Tools Pro.
Yeah,
it's Pro Tools.
Pro Tools, or it's Logic Pro.
Yeah.
The emphasis is different.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So Logic's a great program to use. Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can essentially on any track, you can add different audio effects. There's filters, modulation, reverb, pitch.
So you're just kind of playing with the manipulation of the sound to get something you like.
Exactly. Just kind of tweaking knobs, messing around with stuff.
Right.
I do have an analog synthesizer.
Yeah,
that I'm trying to kind of work into my workflow.
So do you typically write on that, or is that on the computer?
So I don't know. It's kind of a mix. So right now I don't have all the cable. I basically just need one more adapter, and I can actually record out of the synth into my computer. Mm-hmm. Right now it's mostly kind of hooked up as a MIDI keyboard, so I'll mostly use that. I'll go through synths kind of on the computer and just use the keyboard to kind of play out little melodies and try stuff out.
Gotcha.
And then once I have something, I'll typically go in and write it in within MIDI.
How do you know when a track is done?
When I've listened through it about a bajillion times and I can't think of anything else I want to add to it.
Right. Do you do any like mastering or?
As much as I can by myself. Yeah. I kind of am a novice to mixing and everything. I just
mastering's optional.
Basically. Yeah, I just kind of, we can tell it sounds right. I try it out on a bunch of different speakers and stuff that I have to kind of hear make sure it sounds good on everything,
right?
Or at least good enough on everything, because everything is going to sound the best on the speakers that you make it on.
Right. So that's sort of the process behind a Zenpreg song. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about right.
Hello?
Hey man, that was a great show. Thanks for having me.
That's it for this week. Join us next time on The Art of Creativity for a new artist, a new story, and a new process behind the art.